Welcome, football fans. Buckle up for another hard-hitting episode of Player 54 Podcast, an independent show focused solely on alternative and opportunity football. From a sunny Southwest Florida studio, here is your host, Michael Lathrop.
Hello, football fans. This is episode 138. CoFL comes to Midland. Welcome back to another episode of Player 54 Podcast. Today, we welcome Tall City Black Gold co-owner John Norman to discuss his team, the decision to join the Continental Football League, and more. Welcome, John. I appreciate taking the time to appear on the show to discuss the Tall City Black Gold, the decision to join the Continental Football League, and possibly more.
Absolutely, man. I'm grateful and honored to be here. I'm just so excited about this opportunity. It's something that has been on my radar for a long time, and to get that call and be able to have this opportunity, man, and I be the person to get that call in this area. It means a lot. It really does.
I could only imagine. And I think before I kind of start to allude to anything here, I always like to set the table, right? It's like a big old Thanksgiving feast here. Let's set the table before we kind of dive into this.
Yes, sir.
Just an announcement here. I believe it could be beneficial if you just take a moment to provide those tuning in a brief, Cliff Notes version, background story, if you will, about yourself, your introduction to football, your football journey, and what leads you and your brother to the launch of the Tall City Black Gold.
Yeah. So, myself and my brother, we were born and raised here in Midland, Texas. I was born right down there in downtown at Memorial Hospital. Grew up here, went to elementary school, went to Robert E. Lee High School. I was a three-sport athlete, in football, basketball, and track, and ended up being a parade All-American in football. And I was recruited by everybody in the country. Except Florida. I keep saying that, they the only ones that didn't recruit me, but it's okay. But yeah, I was a parade All-American, one of two only parade All-Americans at Midland Lee, myself and Cedric Benson. And I chose to go to Texas Tech. Out of all the recruitments or whatnot, I chose to go to Texas Tech. I liked what they had to provide. Coach Dykes was awesome, and my best friend, who's my business partner now, Antoine Alexander, he was able to go there as well, and so that was the school that I chose, and I had a pretty good career at Texas Tech. I'd like to say it was decent. And I had the opportunity to go to the Philadelphia Eagles training camp. And so I went up there and gave it my all and made it to the last cut. I made it to the last cut and then I was cut that last 53. I didn't make that last 53-man roster or 52-man roster. And then so I had to find another avenue. That other avenue, I had opportunities to try out for, Calgary Stampede in the Canadian Football League and various other semi-pro leagues and even arena. And I was able to land a spot with an arena team, and kind of took to that arena aspect and played like 7 to 8 years of arena football throughout my career. All over the country, in Wichita, Kansas, and Odessa, and Corpus, and ended up landing my last year in Lakeland, Florida. So I traveled that journey, and that was my career in football. And then, after that, it was like, what am I gonna do? And so, I never had a backup plan, so to speak, for lack of a better phrase. But um, so I got into sales and got into coaching and doing all of these things, and it was I always knew in the back of my mind that I always wanted to work with kids. I wanted to work with kids in some capacity, whether it was coaching them or whatever the case may be. And so I was, in the summers, we were doing camps and things of that nature. And so my brother Josh, he was a year after me, and he ended up going to OU, to the Oklahoma Boomer Sooners, and they actually ended up winning the championship in 2000. He went on to play in the league. He was playing with the Chargers for a little while, and then had a short stint with the Raiders and the Jets. And after my career had finished, and then also his shortly after, you know, I was coaching, and then I moved back. I had a I guess it was 1 year in Yuma, Arizona, coaching junior college football, and in the summers. But let me back up. In the summers, my brother and I, we would be doing camps and stuff like that. And Josh Heupel, who's the head coach at Tennessee now, his dad ran camps in the summer, and we just travel all over Oklahoma and Texas doing these camps and everything. And doing that, I was afforded the opportunity to go coach in Arizona Western Junior College, and I did that for a year. And then I got a call from my dad. Got a call from my dad saying, he worked in the oil field. He was a entrepreneur in the oil field out here in Midland. We used to do the summers when we were younger. We do the summers with him out in the oil field doing roustabout services and things of that nature. So we've grown up in that era. But he gave me a call one day and said, I need some help out here, and so I was like, shoot, I got to go back home. Got to go back home to help my dad. Out of three brothers, I'm the oldest, so I felt it was my obligation. He gave me that call, and I had to go back and answer the call. Um, and so I moved out here. I moved back to Midland, um, and I was working in the oil field. Ended up 2 years later, taking over the business from my dad. He was getting older and things like that. And he actually moved back into the office, working with a company. And so I kind of took the business over and was running it for, 3 to 5 years or whatnot. But I always knew, it was lucrative for me. It was probably the best move I made in my lifetime. But I wasn't fulfilled. I wasn't happy every day. You know what I'm saying? And so um, during that time period, it kind of shifted to where, I was working in the oil field, but then I was training. So my brother, Josh, and we actually started a company, Norman Elite. And so we were out here in West Texas in Midland, and we were training kids in speed and agility, strength and conditioning, doing those things. I'd be working during the day in the oil field and then come home in the evening and doing that. And then Josh, he ended up moving back to Oklahoma. He got an opportunity back in Oklahoma, moved back to Oklahoma. And so then it was just me. And, my wife, I was talking to my wife about it. I'm out in the oil field. I'm doing all of this. But then I'm coming home in the evening, it was wearing me down a little bit. And, talked to her about going full time and what we wanted to do. And, she was like, let's do it. And so it was a few years later, I ended up leaving the oil field completely, and going straight into Norman Elite and training kids and doing the speed and agility, strength and conditioning, and then we had our son at the time. He was about three or four, and he was getting into sports, and so I started coaching him. And so now I was really doing what I love, being around kids, being able to be a influence in kids' lives and in the sports arena. And so I was coaching him, and I started some football teams, and we went on with the football teams, and years later, those things grew. We started out in flag football, then we went into tackle football, and those things grew. And then I was like, well, shoot, I need to start a league. The league that I grew up in was a little outdated, I would say. No disrespect, but they were doing a lot of things that we did back when I was playing that didn't really wasn't conducive to the things that are going on now. And so I started the league, and man, it just hit me all of a sudden. I was planning on having starting out with 4 teams in the league, and I met with some guys. They wanted to leave this other league and everything, and shoot. So my first year out the gate, I got 10 teams, got
Wow.
10 teams in one, and then added 2 more at the last minute. So I have 12 teams going into my first year, and actually, it's 12 organizations because in the youth realm, you have we have 5U, which is flag, and then we have 7U, 9U, and 11U. And so each organization has those 4 teams within their organization. So, and I'm hit straight out the gate with 10 of them. And so, I mean, shoot, we really had to, put the nose to the grindstone, so to speak. And this was 3 years ago. And so fast forward to today, 3 years later, shoot, we've grown our organizations, we've grown our footprint. We're not only in Midland, but we're in Greenwood, Crane, Monahans, Andrews, and then we've extended up into Amarillo and Albuquerque.
Wow.
And so those are some of the things that we've done in 3 short years with our league, and that's that Power Five Sports League. And then we don't only do football and cheer. We've expanded into volleyball. We have a volleyball league. We have a baseball league. We have track and field in the summertime, and what else we have? We even have a lacrosse league that we acquired that we'll be launching this spring. So it's just a thing where I've always wanted to be involved in my community, involved in kids' lives, and one of our mottos is we're the league of opportunities. We want to give these kids an opportunity to play the game, play any game, and whether they love it or not, but they can find out when they love it. But having the opportunity to even play the game, and then even extending outside of just this area of Midland. The last 3 years we've gone to Florida, Naples, Florida, for nationals and all stars every year, and so just giving those kids opportunity. Kids have never left the Permian Basin. They've never left this area. They've never flown on a plane. They've never seen the beach. Things of that nature. It's just really rewarding to be able to provide a platform to so that these kids can see these things. And when we go to these places, it's not just about the sport that we're playing. Shoot, we've gone in track. We've gone to North Carolina, and then we go visit Duke University and North Carolina University. Just showing these kids something different than what's right here in the Permian Basin. Going out to California, we go visit USC and UCLA, and then going back to the East Coast, visiting Alabama and Georgia Tech, and all of those places. So it's just been a great experience, man. And but in saying all of that, I always knew that was something that I wanted to do, and when this opportunity here was brought to the forefront, it was just really, I think it was extending the branches of the tree. Um, the same situations that I went through, where I didn't make it in the NFL, but I had other opportunities to try to get back to that level or whatnot. That's what I saw this opportunity as, man. I think I can relate personally to these kids that are, trying to make it in the NFL, trying to make it to that top level, but just not quite there yet, or they still need a little bit of development, or they need the exposure or whatnot. And when this opportunity was brought to me, I mean, it was a no-brainer, talked to my wife about it, and it was like, man, let's do this, and we're just providing more opportunities for young men who may not have those opportunities elsewhere. And so this is a platform that we can put out there. West Texas, Midland, Texas is a great place to do that. We're a tough, hard-nosed, gritty city, built off of oil and gas, the oil capital of the world. And and we proved that through our high school years, being a small town of 90 to 100,000 kids and going and winning state championships against cities that have, a million people in them, and things of that nature. It's a lot to say about, how West Texas is raised and everything. And man, I'm just excited about it. I'm just ecstatic that we have this opportunity, and that I was chosen in this moment to be that person to bring it out to the forefront in this area.
John, you kind of give it your testament, right, of your deep connection to Midland, Texas, right? I mean, you just kind of walked me through from where you were born, right? High school ball, coming back and working the oil fields and stuff. So you alluded to many of those strong bonds that, I mean, not only are you a son of Midland, I mean,
Yeah.
you still you've came back and you've lived it beyond the early aspects. I grew up on a potato farm. I know a lot of my no. So when I go back, I help out. When it's harvest season, it's harvest season. When I get it. Like, it's like whether you're a grown man or not. Like, there's a part you came back to your community to do what you got to do, right? So,
Right.
but you also currently serve your community as a city councilman.
Yes.
So I think your service, right? So some people might look and say, "Well, you're great. You came back, whether it's a family business, whether it's you launched a business, right?" Some people looking at, okay, well, there's something to be, right, gaining from it. But to be a city councilman, you're giving back to your people, right? You're serving your people. So I
Right.
think you come from it as a son of Midland, right? Someone that is operated as a business person, and now serving on city council. So from your personal, professional, and service experience,
Yeah.
what do you believe bringing a professional football team will mean to the people of the basin that you talk about, that area that people don't typically get out of? What do you think that's going to mean to them?
Man, in my mind, it's gonna mean the world to them. And make no mistake about it, in West Texas, like in Midland specifically, in Odessa specifically, we've had, teams and arena team. I played in the arena team that was in Odessa at one point, the Roughnecks. We've had teams out here, and you know, they've been mildly supported, you know. But I think now is a time, and the way this thing is structured by Coach Matt Sackis, man, it's about community involvement. It's about ownership. It's about, you know, being in with the organization. Um, and I feel like, man, I'm so passionate about this. I really feel like when people are bought in that way and they feel like they have a sense of ownership, I mean, I'll break it down to even, we have 6 principles that we teach all of our students, all of our kids that's in our programs. And it's a 3 C's program. And the 6 principles we talk about is discipline, trust, respect, hard work, integrity, and accountability. We talk about those 6 principles, and we just, try to bang it in those athletes and kids' heads, because we don't want them to not only be successful on the field, but be successful in life. And so those are the things we're trying to bring up within the community. Those are things that I was taught, and so to be able to pass that on, man, I know it's a lot more people out there in the community, in Midland, in the Permian Basin that feel the exact same way I do. We grew up saying yes sir, no sir, things of that nature, you know, and it's a different time now, um, but getting back to those values and those morals, man, I think it's so many people out here still, even though we've had people move in and it's changing, it's constantly, our biggest demographic is in Midland is 6 years old and under. And so that's our largest demographic in Midland. But even though that thing is changing, I mean, I see that as an opportunity to instill those values that we grew up with and bring those things back. And so I think, with our community, man, the way it is, always, you know, um, you know, mainly focused on oil and gas. I mean, let's just be honest. That's what it is. That's what our economy has been. I've been through the booms. I've been through the bust of all of these things, but I've been one, and my family has been one that stayed here and went through all of those things. And I think it brings a certain type of character to the people here. Um, and I think once they get the message of, that we're genuine about, really being a part of something, and everyone being bought into the fact that they'll, have some type of ownership within it. I think it'll go a long way, man, and I think we'll have, you know, I think it'll be some very happy people within the community, and then we got to win. It really comes down to that, but we're not strangers to that either. So um, I think I think it's going to be something that's going to be pretty awesome.
So you mentioned the opportunity of this, but sometimes opportunity, sparks ideas. So I'm just kind of curious here. When did the idea really surface about launching a professional team? And if it was sparked off this, okay. But if it wasn't, I'm just curious, what was that? When did that kind of, pop up? Whose idea was it? Was it yours? Was it your brother's? Because you mentioned you have two brothers. You have a partner, that you have a league with. You mentioned that, as a former, teammate and whatnot. So
Right.
where did this idea come about? I'm just kind of curious because, like, sometimes it's opportunity, but sometimes there's something kind of in there for a little bit.
Right. Um, I mean, honestly, with me being in the football world and in my football career and all of that, it was this has been something that I've thought about, years ago. And I would like to say, end of my college to into my professional career, around that area is when I started thinking about it. I was like, man, I'd like to own a team someday. Growing up in Texas, we always watching the Cowboys. And ironically enough, I didn't even like the Cowboys when they were good. I was a San Francisco fan. I had friends and stuff like that loved the Cowboys, and I was a San Francisco fan. And you know, um, that was when I first had the thought, came to mind. Um, of course, I was in no position, or it was I was dreaming. It was a dream at that point, but that was the first time I had that idea, and then recently, um, I got a call, about a week or two ago. Um, Actually, let me back up, because I actually got a call about 3 years ago, uh, from Coach Max Sakis. He coached me at Texas Tech, my senior year when Coach Leach came in 2000. and Coach Matt Sackis was our special teams coordinator. And we kept in touch and things of that nature through social media and stuff like that. But he called me about 3 years ago, and we actually had a conversation, about something similar to this. But again, 3 years ago is when I was first starting, Power Five Sports League, and I was in a different place at that time. And then he called me a couple of weeks ago, and he presented this opportunity. He was like, "I want to talk to you about something. Got this thing we're doing. We think is going to be huge." And man, you know, it's funny. I always say, man, when you tell God your plans, He laughs, because this was something like I'm dead set on grinding and trying to build Power Five Sports League. We're in our third year and we're doing all of these things. We're adding programs for the youth and all of this. And this was not on my radar, currently. And then when I got that call, shoot, man, it was like, wait a minute. It was like, okay, so this opportunity, like, first of all, I'm like, coach is calling me, out of all the people he could have called and all the people because he knows a lot of people and has a wealth of knowledge. He's been in this industry for a long time and everything. And it was like, dang, coach called me, and, of course I talked over with the wife and man, it was, shoot, I'm going to tell you, when my wife said, let's do it, we're in, that's when I knew. I said, yeah, this is what we got to do. It was everything aligned correctly. It was the right timing, and man, I was just so excited to be able to do that. And so, looking back on those dreams of owning an NFL team or whatnot, hey man, we can own a professional team. Doesn't have to be an NFL, but we can own a professional team and do everything that we dreamed of doing and helping people and giving them opportunity and doing it right here in our backyard. So it's just really exciting.
So it was an idea a while ago, phone call a couple of years back. Timing just wasn't right. Get a phone call again a couple of weeks ago, and it was really just more so the Continental Football League. There wasn't exploring any other opportunity. It was like this presented itself.
Yeah.
Again, timing wasn't. He said God's plan, right? My grandmother used to say all the time. Oh, I have it all figured out. She used to laugh at me. She goes,
Right.
she goes, did you tell God that? And
Yeah.
she's laughing. But it was so I get exactly what you say all the time. So okay, it presented, and it's pretty interesting because there are, and I know there's a bunch of different groups that are inquiring this and that, and I get questions all the time like, well, how can you get me in touch with somebody? And I'm like, well, whatever. But I mean, like, but it's just funny. But like, it's yes, you are right in the mix of what's being built,
Right.
and it's pretty cool. Um, I wanted to kind of touch on Norman Elite a little bit. I know this is kind of going back a little bit.
Yeah.
Uh, you, you have your Power Five Sports League, Norman Elite. It has a pretty great footprint, and you've alluded to how it's football and how quick
Yeah.
that came about, much larger than you anticipated, and then how it's expanded in all these things. And now you're competing in championships, which are about an hour south of where I'm located here in Southwest Florida,
Okay.
and then you're talking well because I'm Punta Gorda, but right on the Gulf Coast. But so just a little bit further down I-5, you're traveling all over the place with your programs, like your teams, and you're talking
Yes,
about
sir.
like up in North Carolina and into Georgia, and it's pretty cool. So you had a massive impact on your community, right? I mean, so it's just like in those kids' lives, you're doing things that probably they couldn't even fathom. Like you mentioned, putting them on an airplane for the first time.
Right.
How do you take that success, right? I mean, I understand
Hmm.
it's youth sports, How do you take that blueprint? I mean, you have working knowledge of what it takes to organize teams, leagues, right? On a pretty massive
Yes.
scale. How do you take that success and replicate that success with the Tall City Black Gold and establish,
Mhm.
that honest connection with the community that it represents? You already have a Norman Elite.
Right. So, man, that's to me that's a really loaded question
It is.
because
It's a bit. I'm sorry. So
it,
it's massive.
no, it's okay. And I'll answer it. But the reason I say that is because yes, this is something that I've never done before. You know, owning a team, a professional team, you're dealing with grown men
Yeah.
versus 11-year-olds and 5-year-olds. you know, but 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 I'll tell you, man, I think the things that we've built thus far to this point, through Normally, through Power Five Sports League, I truly believe all of these things that we dealt with in building those, companies or whatever you want to call them, that led me into preparing me to do this. And not only that, but even like I said, the personal experience. I had that personal experience where I was on the other end of the spectrum, where I was a player and experiencing all of these things. And so now I can take those things that I learned and shoot, if I didn't like this as a player, well, I can remember that and I can look back on it and be like, man, these players, they're not gonna like that, so we can do something different, do something to make it better, you know. Even with dealing with the youth, we still dealing with the parents, and that's that's the main thing is dealing with, and these parents are adults. And so um that's kind of how I see it, is like, yes, I've never done this before, but I see it on a grander scale of everything that I have done has led me and prepared me for this task. And I plan on being successful. Anything that I do, I do it 1,000%. And I don't. I used to tell my wife all the time is like, I don't lose. Like, even when I do lose, I still win because I'm learning from that loss. I'm learning through those trials. I'm learning through those failures, and in the end, I'm gonna win. So that's just the mentality that I have regarding in that aspect. And I just I think it'll be something where I just take all of the past things that I've gone through personally and business wise, and dealing with different people, all across the country. I had the fortunate opportunity to so when I was in high school, I was also in the choir. So I sang in the choir, and you know, choir taught me a lot of things as well. That was the first thing that actually took me out of the country. My junior year, we went over to Vienna, Austria, and Germany. Outside of the country of the United States, to perform and singing in cathedrals and all these things. So I was privy to that opportunity to see those things and see the world outside of this bubble that we may or may not live in Midland, Texas. And so I want that for everybody, and I think I've experienced enough things outside of this to but at the same time, you know, still knowing my roots, still knowing the community here, still knowing what kind of community we have, and then just bringing that all together and getting a buy-in, from the community here.
It's pretty cool. It's just there's sometimes a direct correlation and sometimes there's not. but sometimes you can find it, right? I mean, it's just like a lot of things we talk about those 6 degrees of separation of life, right? Who we don't like. But like sometimes there's ways to connect it, and there's ways to bring certain experiences, certain connections to life. And I just thought it was worth asking because, yeah, obviously you guys have created something pretty special,
Yeah,
and with that, like you talk about life's experiences, there's more that you're going to create that's special. The question is just how much more special can it become, based off
right.
that. So it's a pretty cool thing. So now kind of shifting back here a little more focus to the league, Tall City Black Gold here, which is a
Yeah,
name. I'll be honest with you. When I first heard it, I was like, oh, why don't you just call it Midland? It kind of had a different vibe.
yeah,
But then it's really grown on me once I did the research and the connections. And so I mean, like I'll throw myself out there when I was first ignorant when I saw it, and I'm like, oh no, it's pretty cool. It's actually pretty cool.
yeah.
They are the now what fifth team announced by the league
Yes. Uh-huh.
participate in its inaugural season here in 2026. In 2026, the South Division now has 3 members known:
Hmm.
San Antonio Toros, the Austin-based Texas Syndicate. What does it mean to
Hmm.
your ownership team on being involved from the very beginning of this league, right from the launch of it? And how
Right.
important is it on having the syndicate and the Toros to be part of it right there with you in Texas?
Yeah, man, it means a lot, really. Like I said earlier, like for me personally, just to be the person to get that call. And then beyond that, I know Midland, Odessa, the Permian Basin area, man, we're known for football, man. And it's just like, hey man, here comes another opportunity for the community to get behind. And I just feel like you always gonna have some obstacles to overcome and things of that nature. But I feel like if you're putting out a good product out there, people are gonna respond and respond in a positive way. And I mean, one thing I know out here, football is king. That's one thing I know. And I played it, I've lived it, and I think it'll be pretty awesome to uh, get Midland back on the map. In the football realm, it's been, we won 3 state championships in a row in high school, which put our name out there, with Cedric Benson and all of those guys. But that was what 2001, over 20 years ago. So it's time to get back to that elite prowess and having some more recognition in that area. And so yeah, those are things I'm excited about, man. It means a lot to me, and I know it's a lot of people out there in the community that feel the exact same way.
Anyone that's probably watched television, whether it was the movie Friday Night Lights, whether it's the television show Friday Night Lights, right? Or
Yeah,
Varsity Blues, whatever, right? Let's just go to somebody like
yeah,
Texas. We're gonna
yeah,
see some of these bus caravans followed all by a bunch of things when we see games against the Texas
yep,
Syndicate,
yep,
maybe
yep.
against the San Antonio Toros.
Yeah, shoot, that'll be nice to see, man. We see these I mean, I just imagine, like I'm gonna tell you, man. Again, I went to Texas Tech University. Man, we had some guys over there that not, and not just them, but they kicked it off, man. We had some guys over there that bagged Texas Tech to it's just crazy, man. Like the facilities, the atmosphere, everything at Texas Tech, man. And that's what I see. I'm a part of that, and I know the things that get people going and all of that. And so that's what I see, man. I see the fans coming out a fan send off, and you got the moms out there with the pom poms and everything, and because like our community, that's exactly what we are, man. It's almost like it's like a family. It's when they're behind you, they're all together and supporting you in every which way, and it's just an amazing feeling, man. And I just want to see that, continue on for whoever it is that we bring in and provide those opportunities for.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's television gets a flash, but it's sparked out of reality. I mean, like this was
Yeah,
this, I mean, I didn't live it, but I mean, like I know enough people I talked to, like, dude, if you're in Texas, that's real. And I was like, so I just wanted to kind of be like, with a South Division now that has three of its
yeah.
teams, and we'll find out what happens with the fourth team, in the near future. But now it's like, okay, could we really see this? Like, not only do you have something close that they can go to, but it really kind of builds rivalries, and I think that's a very healthy thing for every team involved in the league, at large, obviously.
Absolutely, man. Only thing I don't want to get to is, I don't know if a lot of people know about it, but in our high schools, in certain districts, if you're tied, one of the tiebreakers we have is a coin flip, and so, that's been a kind of a thing in Texas, man. It happened a long time ago with the powerhouse. I think if you watch the movie Friday Night Lights, they showed that clip in there where it came down to a coin flip of who was going to the playoffs because you had a couple of ties, and it was funny that just happened this year with a team out of Amarillo, and they had to do a coin flip to see if they make it into the playoffs, and they ended up winning, and they were so elated, man, because it was just crazy, man. So yeah, it's just little things like that, man, that make Texas football, uh, uh, it makes you remember it, and is long lasting, man. And so at this level, hopefully we can incorporate some of those same things and get that same type of feeling.
All those things kind of came about weeks ago, you know.
Yeah,
I understand things don't develop overnight, right? That's just life, right? Anything
right.
it's so there's been a process led to, us talking today and the announcement and stuff. Um, just for the team to join the league, and now there's going to be a process moving forward, right? I
Yeah,
mean, from this day forward, now creating the organization, each step of the way.
absolutely.
Obviously, the Ohio Valley Ironmen played last season, right?
Right.
So
Hmm.
they already are established, right?
Right.
The
Right.
Cincinnati Dukes that were recently announced, they have been established for 15 years as a minor league, you know, team,
Yep.
and all that experience under their belt, winning some championships with this league and some national championships along that. But they're
Yeah.
transitioning to the professional ranks, right? So they're going to have some more um, things that have to change. And I know that LeVar Barry mentioned about 80%, of the organization is going to have to change. So that's a big change.
Mm-hmm.
Although the Texas Syndicate launched earlier this year, they've already
Hmm.
made some significant announcements. So their head coach, coordinators, few player
Yeah.
signings. So I guess what I'm trying to say is some organizations are a little bit
Hmm.
further ahead. Some a
Right.
lot further ahead, some are a little bit further ahead. I know
Absolutely.
there's plenty of time before you kick off in May, the 26th. But where is Tall City at
Yeah.
in the process in relation to maybe locking in some of those important pieces? I'm not asking you to break the news of anything, but
Yeah.
very early. Are we a little bit further along maybe on some of those things?
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're one of the teams that have chosen to join the league, and we're not, like you said, we're not where some of those other teams are, where we have a head coach and we have this front office administration lined out. We're close to that, um, or we never would have jumped in it
Right,
to
right.
begin with, but we've built. I think we've built a huge, substantial Rolodex of people um, who we can contact, who we have contacted, and are already showing interest. Where we believe that we can get this thing going pretty quickly. Um, shoot, we're gonna have to recruit a team. A team. We're gonna have a team. We gotta go find the guys.
Oh, right.
Um, we got to put ourselves out there. Um, a lot of those things aren't in place quite yet, but that it's going to happen pretty quickly. I think we have a great foundation. That's something we teach our kids, man. If you have a great foundation, a solid foundation, then you can build on top of that at your own pace, and not worry about it, crumbling. But when that foundation is lackluster, when it's not sturdy, anything can happen from there. So we feel like we got some things in place, and it's going to be moving pretty quickly. But we do know that we're not the last team, so we will be ahead of of a few
Right.
teams that come in after.
I mean, the
Yeah,
good news though, regardless, is your division as it stands right now. There's
yeah,
nobody that has previously played football.
right,
All right. I
right,
mean, there's the resurrection of the Toros out of San Antonio. Okay,
yeah,
that's gonna be it's a new ownership group, and obviously they haven't announced a head coach, so that's new. Even Quincy's syndicate there, they're they're new this year, even though they got head coaching, and their coordinators and they're signing some people, but they haven't came together, and they all got to build that team chemistry and figure that
mhm,
all out together. So, I mean, the good news for there is that, but I mean, I know that they're starting with tryouts and stuff like that. So I think
yeah,
you're also in a pretty unique position with Norman Elite and Power Five sports leagues. You probably have a pretty good pulse, not only that you have it in Midland, Texas, but you mentioned Odessa and some various places. You have a pretty good pulse on the players that have been coming through for the past X amount of years.
yeah, yeah,
So I don't, by no means am I trying to, um, you know, claim that you guys are so far behind the eight ball. Just it's a fair question. I think a
yeah,
lot of times as soon as the announcement comes out, everyone's like, okay, great. Where are they playing? Who's the head
yeah, yeah,
coach?
yeah,
What players do we have? Like, well, I understand these are the questions, but I think sometimes it's like, all right, well, how far are we off? Are we,
right.
no, give us a month or so before we might have this announced or that. And I think it's well enough. I mean, if we look at any sports team, any league that's ever launched, things do
Yeah.
happen in a series of.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And don't get me wrong, like I totally understand the question, and I know, we we're not as far along as other teams and things of that nature. However, I believe in me and I believe in my team. And so like there's no out of all the things that I've been through in my life, the ups and downs, the successes, the failures, there's nothing too big that we can't handle. And I just feel like we're gonna be successful in that department. Yeah, it's a new league. Like I said, 2 weeks ago I got this call, and we've already gotten social media handles together and all of these different things that you have to do when starting a business and running a business. And so but yeah, we're going to be there. We're behind on the eight ball right now. With teams that have already played and been established and things of that nature. But yeah, but we're excited though. We're excited about the opportunity to to come in and just show and prove and like I said, give these young men an opportunity that they otherwise may or may not have.
And no, I look forward to it. John, before I let you go, I like to always give everyone this last. It's kind of an open-ended question here.
Mhm.
But I kind of give you a soapbox moment to discuss one or two things that we have not touched on today, right? That
Yeah,
are pretty important to the Tall City
yeah.
Black Gold and what you believe might be important to the Continental Football League as you prepare for 2026 that, those tuning in should actually know.
Yeah, man, it's funny you asked that question, man, because it took me directly back to about 5 years ago when I decided to run for city council. Um, Running for city council, I was never involved in politics. I didn't like it. I didn't know anything about it, and I still didn't like it. And I was the one that always thought, all politicians are liars and all of that. So I never was involved in that. And but it was at that time, when my predecessor was leaving, I started getting calls. I started getting calls from people in the community. Hey, you should run for city council. Hey, and I'm like, man, no, I don't even know, what a city council person does. And after about the sixth or seventh call, I was like, well, shoot, maybe I need to look into this. And so I started researching and started seeing what a city council person does and what what's all involved and all of these things. And in my research, I found out that I was actually already doing what a city council person does when I was working with these kids and I'm out in the community and I'm doing all of these things and serving. I was like, man, but if I run for city council, then, this will give me an opportunity to reach everybody in the community. Not just the kids, but now we're dealing with the elderly and, the handicap and everyone within the community. And when I did that and I won, one thing that I told everybody is that, this is new for me. Whether I make mistakes or whether we're successful on a lot of things, just know that I'm a man of faith, and I did it with the best intention moving forward. It was nothing that I do that is malicious or without integrity, and that's how I want to run our program. That's how I want to run our organization, and that's how I want everybody to feel when they're involved with our organization. And so those are some of the things that we, like I said, that we embody and that we, teach our kids with that discipline, trust, respect, hard work, integrity, and accountability. And we got to live by it too. So when we teaching our kids this, we want to live what we practice what we preach, and that's one of the things that I want people to know. That we're doing going into this, and it's a genuine love for our community and everybody involved. So just excited about it.
Well, John, I appreciate taking the time to appear on the show to discuss the Tall City Black, Gold, Continental Football League, and essentially the community. I mean, in just your connection to it and your life story. So it's been pretty good. I know that you have several months ahead of you with a lot of work yet to do, but like it sounds like you're not no stranger to doing getting your hands dirty, and getting fully submerged into it. So I believe that
Absolutely.
you and your organization will do what's necessary to put a solid team on the field, not only for the sake of sports, but for the sake of your community. So I really look forward to that.
Yes, sir.
And I won't bother you anytime soon, but perhaps down the road when the schedule clears up. But I don't know how it's going to with you with all Norman Elite, Power Five, Sports League, City
All right.
Council, this team. But if your schedule allows it, maybe we could have you, and of course if you're interested, can't forget about that. You got to want to. But maybe we could have you come back and we discuss, the state of the Tall City Black Gold and how things are looking for you guys with the Continental Football League season. I would look forward to something like that.
No, man, I love it, man. I appreciate the opportunity. I appreciate the time and, willing to talk to me. And I'm humbled by this opportunity all across the board. And yeah, man, we'll be out in Naples, Florida, December 7th through 13th. So if you get a chance to come down there, I'd love to sit and chat with you, meet with you, and just continue to build these relationships.
Yeah, no, I'll have to put it on my calendar. I have to make sure everything's clear with the wife first, too, right? Because I learned the other day I committed to something. I committed to something, and she told me, she's like, "Ooh, that's cutting it really close. We have this other engagement with this family that I already committed us to." And I'm like, "Well, okay." So again, I will do my best because I know I love connecting with people in person. It's one thing to do it this way, but I think it's for the good of what a relationship you're building here. But I also think it's good for those that tune into me because I'm bringing real life connections, to them that are, I think the value is just there in a way for them. Yeah. So, and I think they would believe that wholeheartedly as well. But before you go, John, could you just take a moment to share with them where they'll be able to follow, the Tall City Black Gold on this journey, maybe a website, social media channels, anything like that?
Yeah, absolutely, man. So, and I have to look at it because it's all new. But yeah, I have them here, man. You can follow us on all the social media platforms at X on X platform, formerly known as Twitter. It's at CoFL TCBG. Facebook. We have the Tall City Black Gold. We're even on TikTok. We deal with a lot of the youngsters. So with that TikTok is at Tall City, at tall.city.bg for TikTok. We're on Instagram, Tall City Black Gold. And then we're also, and then you can find us at our website at CoFL tallcityblackgold.com. So we're on all those platforms, man, and we're trying to get it out there as much as we can, and get as many fans involved, and we got some great things lined up, man, and we think it'll be worth diving into.
All right. Perfect. Thank you, John.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
You're welcome. I am fortunate to have the continued opportunity to connect with the Continental Football League and its teams. Whether the teams are new or have previously established roots in their communities, these connections are a breath of fresh air. The league coming to Midland, Texas, and its ownership, having strong ties to the city, state, and the game of football are vital components to connecting with their community and fans. I'm grateful to have had this conversation with John and shared his team with everyone. That concludes another show. Thank you for tuning in, and I look forward to welcoming everyone back for an all-new episode of Player 54 Podcast.
Thank you for tuning into today's show. You can support the show and our partners by using code PLAYER54 at checkout at any of the following websites: RoyalRetros.com, where you can save 15%, TrueVictory.com, where you can save 15%, BuckedUp.com, where you can save 20%, ImpactMouthguards.com, where you can save 10%, HobbyArmor.com, where you can save 5%, JustMeatJerky.com, where you can save 10%. Don't forget to follow, like, subscribe, and rate Player 54 Podcast on your platforms of choice. Do you have a question or topic you would like to have discussed on the show? Message us via social media or send an email to player54podcast@gmail.com.